It is the revelation that explains everything. The missing piece of the puzzle that finally makes sense to the suffering, the trials, and the life imprisonments that has just been handed down to the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra. If you have ever wondered why the federal government seems so determined to crush Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, why they have pursued him from Kenya to Abuja and now to a maximum security prison in Sokoto, the answer is not just about radio broadcast or agitation. It is about a deal that went wrong, a transaction that was rejected, and a man who looked at a blank check and tore it to pieces. The headline you saw today is not a rumor. It is a verified testimony from the man himself that is currently resurfacing to haunt the conscience of the nation. They offered Nnamdi Kanu millions of dollars to renounce Biafra. Welcome to this special deep dive broadcast. Today, Tuesday, December 2, 2025, we are not just reporting the news, we are digging into the why. We are connecting the dots between the historic life sentence delivered by Justice Omotosho on November 20 and the secret offers that were made behind closed doors years ago. We are going to expose the Greek gifts, the oil blocks, the mansions in Dubai, and the millions of dollars that were dangled before Nnamdi Kanu to make him sell out his people. And we are going to ask the hard question. Is Nnamdi Kanu rotting in Sokoto Prison today because he's a terrorist or because he's the one man they couldn't buy? To understand the magnitude of this story, we have to go back to the words of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself. In a verified report that has been corroborated by multiple sources including Premium Times and Vanguard, Kanu exposed the specific details of the attempts to bribe him into silence. He didn't just speak in parables, he gave us the inventory of the bribe. He revealed, "They offered me an oil block and mansions in Dubai to back out of the struggle for Biafra, but I rejected the Greek gift." Let that sink in for a moment. An oil block in Nigeria is not just money. It is generational wealth. It is the kind of power that turns ordinary men into gods. It is the currency of the Nigerian elites. For the government to offer this to an agitator means they were desperate. They believed that every man has a price and they were willing to pay the highest price to kill the Biafra dream without firing a bullet. But the offer went even deeper than personal wealth. It went to the very geography of the struggle. Kanu disclosed that they offered him a mini Biafra. He said, "They gave me Biafra in prison with only the 5 Igbo states. I said no. I want Benue and River states inclusive." This is perhaps the most explosive part of the revelation. It implies that the powers that be were actually willing to discuss a form of secession or autonomy, but only on their terms. Terms that would have landlocked the Igbo people, cut them off from the coast, and severed them from their kinsmen in the south-south. They wanted to give him a kingdom so small it would fail, just to stroke his ego. But Kanu saw the trap. He saw that accepting a 5-state Biafra would be a betrayal of the history and the future of his people. He insisted on the complete territory, effectively choosing the hard road of struggle over the easy road of a compromised victory. Now, fast forward to 2025. Nnamdi Kanu is now serving a life sentence. He has been moved to Sokoto Prison, a region currently plagued by the Lakurawa terror group. When you look at his current suffering through the lens of those rejected offers, the picture becomes clear. The government is punishing him not just for what he did, but for what he refused to do. They are punishing him for his refusal to be bought. In a political landscape where defecting to the ruling party can wipe away corruption charges and where bandits are reportedly offered cash for peace deals, a man who rejects oil blocks and mansions is a dangerous anomaly. He is a threat to the system because he exposes the moral bankruptcy of the elites who accepted those same gifts. Kanu himself took a swipe at these elites in his statement. He asked, "They can't buy us with money. If I can turn down oil block, turn down mansions in Dubai, what can they offer us? All the roads in Biafra land are in deplorable condition, yet we have elites who are just interested in their pockets." This is the indictment that stings. He challenged the Igbo leaders in Abuja to show what they have done with their silence. He pointed out that while they are living in luxury, the roads in the east are death traps. By rejecting the Dubai mansions, Kanu was effectively saying, "I will not become one of you. I will not trade the freedom of my people for a high-rise apartment in the UAE." This narrative of integrity versus compromise is what fuels the die-hard loyalty of his followers. When they see him in court wearing the same clothes, looking frail but defiant, they don't see a convict. They see a man who could have been a billionaire living in luxury but chose to be a prisoner for their sake. This moral high ground is something the government has failed to break. Even with the life sentence, even with the transfer to Sokoto, the legend of the man who said no to the billions continues to grow. We also have to consider the Sokoto factor in this light. Why move him to the northwest? Why isolate him so far from home? It is the ultimate pressure tactic. It is the state saying, "You refused our carrots, so now you will eat our sticks." They tried to buy him with honey. Now they are trying to break him with vinegar. But reports from Sokoto suggest that even inside the prison, he is winning hearts. We heard just yesterday that inmates allegedly declared him prison president because he speaks the truth without fear. This proves that the quality that made him reject the oil block is the same quality that commands respect even from criminals and guards in a foreign land. This story also exposes the hypocrisy of the political solution conversations we are hearing today. Leaders like Ojiuzo Kalu are telling Igbos to go on their knees and beg. But if the government was willing to offer oil blocks years ago, it means that they know that Kanu is a factor that must be settled. The issue is not that they cannot negotiate. It is that Kanu refuses to negotiate away his core demands. The secret agreements Governor Alex Otti spoke about might be stolen because the government is waiting for Kanu to finally break and ask for that oil block deal again, or at least a plea bargain that looks like it. But Kanu's history suggests that he's not a man who trades his principles for comfort. As we look at the timeline from 2017 to 2025, the consistency is terrifying. He rejected the offer then, he rejected the offer in Kenya, and he rejected the offer to silence himself during the trial. Now he faces the rest of his life in bars. But the question remains, who is really free? The elite with their oil blocks and bad roads, or the prisoner in Sokoto with his clear conscience? This revelation is the wake-up call to everyone watching. It reminds us that in the struggle for freedom, there are things more valuable than money. Nnamdi Kanu's rejection of the Greek gifts is the reason he is suffering today, but it is also the reason his name will be remembered long after the oil blocks have run dry. What do you think? Was Nnamdi Kanu wise to reject the oil blocks and the 5-state Biafra, or should he have taken the deal to save himself and get at least something for his people? Is his current suffering a badge of honor or a strategic mistake? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We need to debate this.